Okay, good morning, afternoon, wherever you're joining from. I'm Divya Chaudhary from State University of New York at Buffalo. My topic for today is how do we do data ethics in AI pricing? I have been working in AI pricing domain for a long time, and this is what I want to focus on today. So look at this image, a perfect visual of our topic, scale balancing AI ethics and pricing algorithms. For too long, we have prioritized algorithm output, which is profit, obviously. Our conversation today is about building systems that are not just profitable, but profoundly fair. This is really necessary in today's time when we are using AI for everything. This is your blueprint for achieving this balance. So let's start here. Why this urgency? Because AI pricing is no longer optional. It's core to revenue optimization. A startling 65% of enterprises use algorithmic pricing, but ethical guardrails are miles behind. This lack creates massive risk. Hidden bias leads to discrimination, customer mistrust, lawsuits, and crippling fines. It can devastate your operations. But flip the script. Ethical design is a competitive edge. Fair and transparent pricing builds trust and acts as a powerful compliance shield, future-proofing your AI investments. So my research here provides practical frameworks to answer three critical questions you face when implementing AI-driven pricing. How do we fix bias in data and models? How do we achieve model explainability without compromising our advantage? How do we build transparent system without hurting profits? In this presentation, in this speech, we'll address these using technical tools and government frameworks. So let's get started. Let's be honest, what we are up against. There are four ethical challenges that define this space. Historical bias. Algorithms are lazy learners. They absorb and perpetuate legacy discrimination. Think modern day redlining and gender gaps. Proxy feature. It's fine line between personalization and discrimination. Are we using location or device type because it predicts willingness to pay or because it's proxy for wealth and race? Third is black box problem. Our most powerful tools, which I feel are neural nets, are opaque. We can't audit bias if we can't see the decision-making process. And we'll talk more about it when we talk about explainability. The fourth one and the last one is exploitation risk. Dynamic pricing is designed to exploit a customer's willingness to pay. When this is done unfairly, especially for essential good, it guarantees social backlash. So let's talk about some sources of bias in pricing data. Where does the poison come from? The data itself. The bias we see in the model come from the input data. Historical discrimination, your zip codes, your legacy risk scores, they all are already baked in. School training data. You oversample affluent users, and now your model only works for them. This is very common. Behavioral proxies. Your browsing history is correlated with your socioeconomic status, creating indirect discrimination. And the scariest one, feedback loops. A biased model makes a biased decision, which feeds new biased data back into system, locking in the discrimination. So once you have found the bias, you need a way to measure fairness. This requires choosing a metrics, and they aren't interchangeable. Do you want demographic parity, equal outcome for all groups, or individual fairness? Ensuring similar people get similar prices, that's the key. The key is understanding the trade-offs. Fairness often trades against revenue, accuracy, or personalization. The metric you choose is an ethical and business strategy decision. The compliance tide is rising. We have EU's GDPR already requiring transparency and limits on automated decisions. At the same time, we have forthcoming EU AI Act may classify pricing as high risk. demanding formal audit. Even US regulation from FTC focus on bias. Early ethic adoption is risk reduction. So sorry, and went back. So now let's shift. We have already talked about what are the problems, how are biases or other things, like how does it lead to AI unfairness. Now let's just shift to how we can resolve this issue. So what are the tools? Use statistical analysis like disparate impact ratios and interchangeable audits. I have mentioned some tools here like demographic parity testing, disparate impact ratios, equalized odd analysis, intersectionality audits. Use automated tools like Fairlearn or AI Fairness 360, and always use exposed review to ground your quantitative metrics in domain knowledge. Some of the automated tools I have mentioned here, Fairlearn, AI Fairness 360, What If tool, they are quite readily available for us to use. Temporal monitoring is another thing which we can focus on, which is track drift or worsening bias over time to catch degradation easily. And yeah, as I said, expert review is must. So some of the bias mitigation strategy. Fixing bias occur in three phases. Pre-processing. Review your data or mask proxy variable. In-model constraints. Use profit use multi-objective optimization to force the algorithm to balance profit and fairness during training. And at last, post-processing. Calibrate the final output to meet fairness threshold. And obviously, as in any system, don't forget continuous monitoring. Implement ongoing bias monitoring to avoid regression over time and maintain fairness standards. Okay, so you you actually need a rigid, auditable workflow. This process, when implemented correctly, is shown to achieve a 40 to 60% reduction in discriminatory pricing. It's a five-step life cycle. Data audit, then, which is basically detect bias before modeling begins through comprehensive data analysis. Model design, which is add fairness constraints and test multiple metrics during development. Then the next is validating using A/B tests on fairness and revenue. And once deployed, it's continuous monitoring with alerts and finally governance report, your compliance dashboard for stakeholders. This is really important to achieve this outcome. Structured workflow achieves 40 to 60% reduction in discriminatory pricing again. So I again repeat data audit, model design, validation, deployment monitoring, and governance report. This workflow is a must. Next, I want to talk about the how do we make AI explainable. We need to solve the black box problem for regulators. We need different type of explanation, local explanation. There are various algorithms like Lime and SHAP provide insights into why a single price was set for individual customers. Global expansion, feature importance, reveal the overall model behavior for your internal audit team. But the most critical step is plain language. You must translate those technical results into narratives for the regulators and business stakeholders. This explainability is the bedrock of trust and your first line of legal defense. Making AI explainable, be in the pricing world or in some other system we are building, is really a need for today to solve those risks and biases. Choose model agnostic tools to maintain algorithm flexibility while ensuring comprehensive explainability across different AI approaches. Okay, to satisfy regulators, you need a paper trail. Document everything using model cards like data sources, training process, fairness tests, limitations. You can also do algorithmic impact assessments, risk analysis, and mitigation strategies, compliance, proof all fall under it. You need to do change logs, track updates for auditability and accountability. Have an ethics review board to approve models before they launch. Ethics review board approve models before launch, ensuring organizational oversight and regulator readiness. Transparency is how you build an ethical brand. Give consumers tools to understand the pricing. A pricing explanation portal is a dashboard that shows them clearly the factors influencing their price. Empower the customer with counterfactual explanation. If you did X, your price would be Y. Show customer what changes would affect their pricing, empowering informed decisions. This removes the perception of unfairness and exploitation. The trick is privacy preserving insights. You give aggregate transparency without revealing the competitive trade secrets in your model logic. And the transparency reports, algorithmic transparency reports detailing data use and logic summaries for public accountability. Ethical design must be continuous. Adopt privacy by design early. Automate compliance checks as laws evolve. Conduct third party audits and have playbooks ready for bias incidents. This converts risk management from reactive to proactive, protecting both revenue and reputation. Privacy by design. Embed privacy and fairness considerations early in development process. Incident reports. Prepare playbooks for bias or compliance breaches to minimize impact. Compliance automation. Track changing global laws and automatically adjust system for compliance. Risk assessment. Evaluate customer demographic, price sensitivity, and legal exposure systematically. And last, third party audits. Independent verification of fairness claims and compliance measure. So my presentation is almost ending, and but I don't want to end without showing the proof is in the results of what I have talked about if we implement those. And in an insurance case, we detected bias where minority zip codes were charged higher premiums. We applied counterfactual fairness, we talked about it, and explainable dashboards for regulators. Our approach achieved an amazing 89% disparity reduction. The key finding, the revenue impact was minimal, under 2%. Fairness is a negligible cost offset by higher retention and reduced legal risk. Let's talk about another very common, my favorite. Another case involved e commerce dynamic pricing that unintentionally favored certain demographics. Dynamic pricing system showed unfair treatment across different demographic groups, creating discrimination risk. What did we do? The solution was multi objective optimization to balance fairness with profit. We implemented fairness constraints combining demographic parity and individual fairness with multi objective optimization. We deployed real fairness dashboards and automated alerts for continuous oversight. The result, 94% revenue retention and 23% increase in trust and customer satisfaction score. Ethical design is a long-term customer value strategy. Okay. And I just have one more example before we end the presentation. In another case, surge pricing disproportionately affected low-income areas. Detected bias where minority zip codes, sorry, yeah, for this one. So the surge pricing affected pricing that unintentionally favored certain demographics. Low income neighborhoods were disproportionately affected by surge pricing, creating equity concerns and regulatory scrutiny. You all must have seen that when the ride sharing apps like Uber or Lyft surge. The solution: socioeconomic impact checks before price changes, an alternative pricing model for essential needs. Socioeconomic impact checks before pricing changes, alternative pricing model for essential transport needs, and community reporting and feedback loops. And the results were in front of us. This led to improved equity perception, stronger community trust, and regulatory approval, and obviously the brand reputation. So, lastly, I want to go with some takeaways here. I want you to leave with three takeaways. Fairness and revenue coexist. You can retain between 85 to 95% of your profit while being ethical. This has been proven. The minimal loss is an investment in retention and legal security. Second one, structured workflow work. Governance and process can drop bias by 40 to 60%. Third, leadership evolution. This job is for technical expert. Your data science team must evolve into the organization. Otherwise, you will not be able to achieve it. There are emerging technologies, federated learning for collaborative fairness without data sharing, casual inference for deeper bias root cause analysis, automated fairness tuning, creating self-correct model, and regulatory evolution, trends towards stricter global standards and mandatory certifications for AI pricing system. The challenge is clear. The solution is a structured process that builds transparency and fairness into your code as well as governance. Let's commit to building pricing that is smart, profitable, and fundamentally fair. Thank you.